Everyone likes to spend time alone. I bet all of you in this room can think about a time when all you really wanted to do was stay home alone and watch a good movie. I definitely can. This joy we have from spending time alone is something that we all understand. Yet in our society nowadays, it is something that is extremely stigmatized. I'm sure you can all think about a time when your friends showered you with reprimanding looks when you told them that no, you weren't going to this party tonight because you just didn't feel like being social. I definitely can. Those looks, however, managed to make us feel so guilty that at the end, and just a few hours later, we found ourselves surrounded by them in a room filled with music and laughter. I just want to emphasize here that I do not mean to say that you would be unhappy at that party. You may be having the time of your life. Totally amazing for you. What I do want to remind you, however, is that initially going to this party wasn't your first choice. You wanted to stay home alone and watch a really good movie. So why didn't you pursue what you wanted to do? Because you were scared of the stigmas surrounding spending time alone. Those stigmas can be summarized in an extremely simple equation. Spending time alone equals having no friends plus being antisocial. And nobody wants to be recognized as a person without friends. This idea we all associate with spending time alone is so embedded in our society that we prefer conforming to the norms rather than doing the thing we truly want to do. What many people might not know, however, is that spending time alone is actually very beneficial. That's why I'm standing here in front of you today, to prove to you that me time is worth fighting for. The first thing we gain from spending time alone is creativity. S.K. Schutter, a psychologist at Washington University of St. Louis, pointed out, decades of research have shown that brainstorming groups of people figure far fewer ideas than the same number of people who work alone and later pool their ideas. This may sound counterintuitive, because you would think that you would come up with more ideas when surrounded by other people. However, if you are on your own, you allow yourself the time to formulate your own opinion on stuff, and to also let your mind wander to places it probably wouldn't have gone to if you had been surrounded by other people's opinions, because other people's opinions would have necessarily influenced your own. This increased creativity we gain from spending time alone has also been proven in a study done in 2012. In this experiment, 56 adults were immersed into nature for 4 days without any form of technology. What they gained from this is that they became 50% better at creative problem solving. So if you allow yourself me time, you'll become more creative. Pretty appealing, no? Another bonus point we get from spending time alone is that it makes us work harder. We always have a tendency to do less when we are surrounded by other people. I mean, teachers, there's a reason why students love group works. Or at least part of them. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but when you say group work, half of the class looks like this, and the other half like this. You can probably guess who's going to end up doing all the work at the end. This tendency we have to work less when surrounded by other people has been termed social loathing by Max Winkelmann. In the 1890s, this guy set up a study in which he made an increasing amount of people pull on the rope. In each of his experiments, he measured the effort each person pulled on the rope. What we can see on this graph is that the more people were in a group, the less force each individual person exerted. So if you allow yourself me time, you'll work way harder. And if this doesn't convince you enough, just think about spending time alone and sleep. And who doesn't love sleep? Because honestly, that's basically what it is. When you sleep, you take the time to recharge before starting another day. When you spend time alone, you take the time to recharge from all your social interactions. Alone time and sleep seem really similar to me. So to summarize, spending time alone will make you more creative, will make you work harder, and can be regarded as sleep. Those reasons seem all really good ones to stay in. There, however, remains one tiny thing that prevents us from spending the time alone that we need. And I'm not talking about the stigma surrounding it. I'm talking about this thing called Fomo, or fear of missing out. You've probably heard of it already. You know, it's that feeling you get when you're invited to a party, but all you really wanted to do is stay home alone. Yet you still go, because otherwise you're scared that you won't belong to the cool group anymore. However, I hope that after having listened to my TED Talk, you will understand that spending time alone is actually really beneficial. So stop feeling scared and guilty if you don't want to be around other people. You have all the reasons to. Thank you very much.